about your journey and what led you to your current position at Goldman Sachs.
Sure. So I graduated a really long time ago. I actually went to Wellesley undergrad, so it's an all-women's college in Massachusetts. And I went to Cornell for business school years later. So I started my career actually at JP Morgan Chase. I started in investment banking. I was hired into restructuring and financing right out of college. Back up a second. I was a biology and music double major, and I was pre-med in undergrad. So it was nothing to do with econ or coming out of the womb, like doing finance, like none of that. And then I got a job in banking. I did that for 2 years. It was really tough. It's like everybody says, it's like 90 hour weeks. It was very difficult. And I moved over to trading after 2 years of investment banking. And I traded credit default swaps to CDS. I covered banks and corporates. And then I moved over to the sales side for a little bit and covered insurance companies. And then I did some structuring and synthetic CDOs. And then after that, I decided I was not going to do finance. I wanted to try something different. I hadn't done it undergrad. I really wanted to see what else was out there in business. Because finance, at least in the Bay, is very narrow. And so I decided to come back. And I went to Cornell, specifically actually to go to marketing. And thought marketing might be a good path for me, and that obviously did not happen. And I came here and decided marketing, the piece of it, just the whole personality was not really my cup of tea, and I decided to go back to finance, but I wanted to find something that was more narrow, that was more focused. I wanted a little bit more autonomy in decisions I made because I had been only on the advisory side of the business in banking instead of trading, and so I wanted to find something more on the, what people call the buy side, so something where I could get capital to work, where I could talk to clients, where I could make decisions. And so I came to Goldman Sachs in 2003 as a summer associate. There were 6 of us in this prop trading program. It was out of our securities division at the time, and so we invested in Goldman Sachs capital for our balance sheet. And then in 2004, when I arrived full-time at Goldman, they had merged all of our principal investing businesses, all of our prop trading businesses into one group. It was called the Special Situations Group. We were out of Asia, out of London, and out of New York. And so we only invested Goldman Sachs capital for our own balance sheet. So not fund money, no investor capital, it was all Goldman Sachs money. And I covered aviation, shipping, and rail, general equipment. And then in 2007 and 2008, when we kind of cleared house, there were a lot of layoffs at the GFC. I took over some of real estate as well. And so I've been an investor most of my career. I've been at the firm almost 20 years. In 2018, I was asked to take on an additional hat of being the global head of strategic partnerships and funding strategy. That really meant bringing third-party capital for our balance sheet business. It's getting very expensive on balance sheet. Our balance sheet is getting very tight. And so I took on that role and raised about $1.5 billion. And then a year later, we merged with our merchant banking division, and that is our third-party capital business. So our flagship funds are out of our merchant banking division. We merged our businesses in 2019, and then in 2020, you'll hear all this in the history, but in 2020, our historic Goldman Sachs asset management business merged together with all of our investing business to be under one roof. Our public side and our private side all came together. So our large flagship funds, our alternative investment management, our vintage funds all came together, public and private sides. And we all sit underneath the asset wealth management division today.
Got it. Thank you for sharing. Sounds like you've had a wide variety of experiences, and I'm curious as to what the biggest challenge was to get to the point you are at right now.
So I wrote some of this down. I would say when I got out of college, understanding the need to actually advocate for yourself and to kind of put yourself in front of opportunities sounds super obvious. It sounds like it's the easiest thing. Oh yeah, I'll just go up there and raise my hand. And no, it was different. Once you're at a firm, it was different than being in college. And I tell a lot of students this, that in college, you go to college, they want you to do well, you pay to go to college, your parents pay, whatever. You pay to go to college, they want you to be successful. You come to a job and it's the opposite. You come, the firm pays you to do a job. And so they aren't necessarily vested, unless they aren't, in your own career. And so therefore you must manage it on your own. That was kind of a different concept for me to think about. And so really putting myself in opportunities to be successful. So I'll give you an example. You guys all know this company. So Marvel Comics is a tiny little comic book company back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Their management was terrible, and they went through bankruptcy. And so I worked in restructuring and financing, and I really wanted to be on the deal. I saw all these people they had done a great job on my deals, but all these other people were getting to get stacked on these deals, and I didn't know how they were culture is you raise your hand or you elbow your way in to get to a deal. And I didn't realize that that was, if somebody had said that to me, you know, elbow your way in to get the opportunities that are interesting to you. If anything, open your mouth and say something. And to me, it's pretty straightforward and practical, but that's what I learned kind of the first 2 years of baking, because it's pretty competitive. So you really have to put yourself in a place to open your mouth and put yourself in a place to be successful. That to me was one of the biggest challenges that I had to learn, because I didn't have that in college. I went to Wellesley and I just felt like, you know, in comparison, things were kind of handed to me like, oh, here's a great opportunity for you, you should look at this or you should look at that. Whereas this was like fighting tooth and nail for me to get a good deal. So to me, that was one of the biggest challenges, and that doesn't have to do with me being a woman or, you know, Asian or anything like this. It had everything to do with the fact that my mentality coming out of college was not complacency, it was one of just feeling like I was being kind of hurried along the path, whereas here I really had to drive that success, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so to follow up on that, like what do you think helped you kind of break out of that shell and, you know, really start putting yourself out there?
A lot of crying in the bathroom, no. What helped me? I think, you know, I look back and I wish somebody had said something to me 2 years, like right when I got there, like here are the things you should think about. Put yourself in a place to be successful. These are all practical things that you should do. You have to, one, always have an opinion. You can't sit there and not have an opinion. You're being paid to have an opinion. You're being paid to give your perspective. And so if you sit there, you're doing yourself and the firm a disservice. You're here to give an opinion, right or wrong, and you should do that. And you should also put yourself, raise your hand for like every opportunity. That's the first thing. And then I think part of it is also that, sorry, what was your question? It was challenges?
Kind of strategies you use to help you put yourself out there.
I mean, you just really just have to, a lot of this is like speaking up really practical things that people would say. But one of the things for me was, I didn't really have a finance background, so getting to know as many people as I could in my analyst class was key, because you have these huge analyst class. These people are all at your level, coming from different places, all learning at the same time. I think the biggest thing was leaning on people that were my peers, learning from them. You all kind of train together in investment banking, and then you're all dispersed on your different desks and groups to kind of do your work. So keeping in contact with people I knew, I used them as leverage to, when I didn't understand, like, what is interest rate? What does that mean? How do you calculate this? Like, how do I use Bloomberg? Like, what does this mean? Things like that were really helpful for me to navigate, because I was asking my peers. And by the way, now that I'm a senior person, all my peers are like co-head of capital markets at Morgan Stanley, or like leading investment banking over, you know, at JP Morgan, things like this, that I think people don't realize that these people started out all as analysts together. So one of the biggest things for me in lessons is you never want to burn a bridge. People learn that people are fighting to get to places and they do things. But I'll tell you one thing, the one thing that has kept me going through my career is not burning bridges. You have to get to know everybody. You have to be nice to everybody, and not because they can do something for you, but because they can hurt you in the end. And so at the end of the day, you should be burning any bridges. That's the thing that's like the most helpful to me through my career. It's amazing the people that actually come out of the woodwork to help you through your whole career. And I've been working a very long time, and that's kind of held true throughout.
No, definitely. That makes a lot of sense. I feel like since, you know, finance is competitive, as you mentioned off the bat, I think, you know, as a woman of color, it's probably more difficult to get your opinions out there. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but what do you think are strategies that are the most valuable to really navigating the financial industry from the lens of a woman of color?
It's a good question. I thought about this actually on the paper when I was thinking about some of these challenges. I guess I would say people have a lot of unconscious biases, and so for right or for wrong, it just kind of is the way it is. Fine. I kind of view those biases as like the cones of life. I tell my kids this, is that these are the cones of life, and you have to navigate your way through these cones. They're the rules, and hopefully one day they'll change if they're not correct, or they're not the best, or, you know. But these are the cones of life, and you have to navigate it through. This is what you want to do. And when I think about it that way, I've had to be louder. So I'll just talk about myself. I don't know everybody else. My own personal experience is that I'm an Asian woman and I'm 5'1". Okay, so those are factual. And I think people make assumptions about how I speak, what I should do, how I should act. And I think, even to this day, I think, nobody at the firm at Goldman, but somebody has said to me, if you know me, they say, oh, Christina, you need to have more opinion. You need to really speak up and have more, be more opinionated in your mouth. And I looked at them and I said, are you talking about me? And I thought to myself, it was so stunning to me that I was like, they see who I am, and a big part of it was because of my stature, because of my race. It could be a lot of different things, but I realized for me, I had to be louder and more, I had to be 1,000% always on my game more than anybody else, because I felt like they were these unconscious biases. That's just the reality, and maybe people have different experiences. Somebody will roll out the red carpet for you. It did for me, and I really felt like part of me navigating through was understanding that people have these biases, not because they're bad people, but more because it's just society, the way the world is, or whatever, and it was my job to kind of navigate through that. And so, speaking up, always having a question, always being on my game and being prepared was the best way that I could be to be successful here. And I don't know if it's a female thing or if it's a race thing, but these are kind of things that you just have to realize that things are the way they are, and at some point in your career, you'll be able to change those. And when I was 22, I couldn't change them because I was a junior person. So I kind of broke through the rules of life, which are these cones that I kind of think about. Now that I'm a senior person, I'm able to come to things like this. I'm able to go to Wall Street and talk to women there and help them up one by one. Because what I do is I mentor. And I talk to students and I sponsor great women and great men throughout the whole process, whether it doesn't really matter to me. Now that I'm here, I'm able to actually a little bit more change. That was mine. It's not everybody's way.
Do you being male-dominated, or do you think there is a revolution coming?
You know, I don't really think of it as maybe it is a revolution. I don't know. I don't think about it that way. I guess it's what I'm used to. I came from an all-women's college, and somebody asked me this in my interview when I was 22, like, oh, how could you go from wealthy to Wall Street when there are no women? And it was so stunning to me, that question, but I don't really think of myself as different. Maybe I should, but I don't. And that's always how I think it's your own perception of what things are, and I just kind of plow forward and just provide everything. Because I think a lot of times, for me personally, I think about things, you can overthink things and then not do. So I just do and deal with consequences later. So that's a little bit on my way, and maybe, it's a little bit by brute force, but, people say, oh, it's all male-dominated, but I think the world has changed a lot. Now more like two parents are working, right? So there's just more women in the workforce generally. I think there are more opportunities for women to be there. I didn't have a lot of role models. It doesn't have to be a woman that's a role model, frankly. Most of my mentors, my sponsors are not women. Most of them in my career have been different men at different positions that I just got along with. And frankly, those are the people that have supported me to get through my career at Goldman. It didn't have to be a woman, and it didn't have to be an Asian person. None of that stuff. It had to be somebody who has similarities to me or really clicked. And those are the people that I kind of nurture, those relationships. I make it a point to go see these people. Like, that's one of the things, like, what is your life? You have to network. And it's not about finding a mentor, it's about finding a sponsor. I think people mix those things up. At Goldman, we're very clear, at least when we were, because I was on the trading side of investing, that you need to find a sponsor for your career. You can find somebody, a mentor, to kind of guide you through some of these softer skill things. But when you have a sponsor, somebody who believes in you to push you up in the organization, that's a very different concept than mentorship. And I think you have to separate those two things, because sponsorship is sponsorship of your career. They're not there to shoulder cry on and this and that and the other. They're there to help your career, to make sure you put yourself in a place so that you can get promoted and paid, or paid and promoted in that order. And so when you go to work, you're there to get paid and promoted. So you should know the people that are directing your future. And I tell junior people that you should go talk to the partners. You should set up meetings with these people. These are the people that determine whether you become a managing director or whether you exit the door quickly. So you want to know the people that pay you, don't you want to know the people that promote you. That's really important. So you have to nurture the relationship, and at some point, one of those relationships will become like your sponsor.
Got it. So in terms of, finding sponsors, what strategies have you used to find those people who, support you and maybe overcome people who don't believe in you?
So Goldman had a program for sponsorship, and they actually had kind of women and others who were VPs, and they wanted them to have sponsorship to become managing directors at the firm. They would pair you with somebody. And it's kind relationship, that was less helpful to me than actually meeting a manager that I really got along with, that I had respect with, who knew the work that I did, who actually was like, okay, go talk to this person, or go to talk to this person. One of my biggest sponsors was my direct manager. He was a VP of an associate, and we grew up together. He became a partner in 2010. He's no longer at the firm, and I kind of came along with him. And he, every like whatever, few months, he would give me a bio of a partner. He'd be like, go see this person. I wouldn't ask. He would say, go see this person, or go see that person. And it was really to kind of build my network and get to know people at the firm, let them see me, because one of the big things is connections and visibility to the firm. And I think this goes everywhere. You have to know people, people have to know you, and they have to know what you're doing. Not because you're pounding your chest and saying I'm the best and gloating about these great deals. It's because you need to get to know people, and they need to know that you're actually adding value somewhere. And so going around to different divisions outside of my own through this, his name is Gaurav, was really helpful to at least get me to start that networking.
Right. So in terms of, nurturing relationships, I'm curious as to maybe frameworks you use. Like, do you meet these people often, or do you look for diversity within your mentors? Like, what do you kind of look for?
That's a good question. I kind of view mentorship or sponsorship as making friends, but I view business as that, because business is about people and doing business with people, and people do business with people they like. That's like hard stuff. You can be the smartest person. I tell my kids this all the time, that is, my jobs are not that hard. It's not that hard. But so why am I doing it, not somebody else? It's because somebody likes me enough that they would want to sit next to me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week when I was in baking, and they tolerated me. So at the end of the day, it's about people. People want to work with people they like. People want to work with people that are smart. Everybody that walks through Goldman Sachs door is smart. All of you guys in this room, you're smart enough. It's hard to get into Cornell, so you're fine. You will be able to do the job if you can learn and you have the right mentality going into it. So I think looking for a mentor is really clicking with people. It's basic. I think of everything as making friends. People want to work with smart people. Everyone's smart, so you just assume that that's the case. But people want to work with people that they like. And so I chose my mentors and sponsors, not strategically. A lot of people call it different things. Oh, you're being political, these. It's really with people who I had a connection with, who either grew up the same way I did in banking or trading, had the same mentality, had the same pace, kind of gave me good guidance, knew the people I was working with. Those are the people that I click with, and then, you're never going to keep in touch with 20 people. So I always say, if you can keep in touch with 5 to 10 people, you're lucky, and those are the people that you should make it a habit to see every quarter, every 6 months, and make sure you get in front of them. Even if for 15 minutes and you sit there and you talk about their kids or this and that, the other, you're building a rapport with them, and that to me is what's important. That's how sponsorship and mentorship comes.
Right, yeah, I think networking is super important, especially in, those competitive spaces, so, totally agree with that. So what advice do you have for all of us in the room, or women who want to build their careers in finance?
I think it's a great field for women. I think it's a great field for everybody. It might not be for everybody. The pace is really, really fast. I like that. When I came here, I said, oh my gosh, I found my people. And I'm from Boston originally. And I think it's not just for women in finance. I mean, I think that you can have really good careers in finance. And that's why I go out and talk to a lot of women, because I think women are either not scared, but more hesitant to go into finance. Oh, it's all men on the trade floor. You should shove yourself into places that you're scared. And what I mean by that is, if you're nervous because, oh my gosh, it's all men, I'll be doing it. I don't think about it this way. I just plow forward. If it's something that interests you, go do it. Who cares who's there? I don't care if they're kids, I don't care if they're men, I don't care if they're women, I don't care if there's nobody that looks like you, sounds like you, talks like you. You go because it interests you. And I think finance is a great career for women. At least I found it. And I've been in this for a very long time. I have 2 kids. I live in the city. I manage it with a lot of help. I have a husband that works. So you have to balance it in different ways, because this career has allowed me to spend time with my kids and be a mom, but also continue to rise at Goldman. I had both of my kids when I was at Goldman Sachs. I was a VP when I had my first, and I was a VP when I had my second. So it's possible to have a life and balance with a finance career. Again, I'll tell you my personal was, I really didn't, I wanted to do investing because I wanted to kind of control my destiny. So I chose investing like the buy side for a very specific purpose, because I could manage my own book, therefore manage my time, and therefore have kind of a life of balance. It was right for me. I knew I wanted to spend time with my kids. Other people have different priorities, but that was mine. So I think you can make it work for you if it interests you. And again, the reason why I stayed at home, as long as I had at Goldman, it's not because I feel, listen, I think Goldman's a great place. It's the people that have kept me there. And like I tell everybody, you want to work with your friends. I've been working with my friends for years. I like the people, I have faith in them, I like working with them. I go into the office and, you know, it's like working with like people that I went to college with, and it's great. And we're all very collegial. And there's this culture of apprenticeship at Goldman that I like. We teach and we bring our junior guys up. That matters to me. And so you go in every day to kind of be with the people that you like and work, and it doesn't feel like work. But finance is a great career, and people, I think it gets a bad rap with women that it's, oh, it's all guys. Like it's, you know, there's a lot more. I was on the trading floor the whole time. Like a lot of my career, we sat in the trading floor. Only now do I have an office because they forced me to an office, probably because I talk too much. But you know, it's just being with a lot of people in the trading floor. I think if you like that environment, and you like the fast-paced nature of it, and you like the work of basically getting to know people, because that's basically what business is knowing people and getting people to either buy things from you, services, buying like your pitch of whatever it is you're pitching, or investing with you. It's all about doing business with people that you trust and that you like. That's why I say everything comes down to just, you know, making friends. So a big part of business is that, right? That's why I tell my kids, like, you can do my job. It's not the job that's hard. It's getting to know people and understanding people and working with people that are smart and want to do business with the firm and with you specifically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a really important point. I know personally for myself, like I've dealt with that fear of, oh, if I go into finance, like what's going to happen because I'm a woman of color. Oh, if I go into tech, it's going to be male dominated. So I feel like those are all things I struggle with. So I really, you know, admire your strength and advice to all of us here. And my last question was, can you tell us about maybe a pivotal moment in your career that really shifted the way you looked at your career?
I thought of two. My very first one was when I was, I had just joined the trading desk, and the trading desk is known to be pretty abrasive, and things come flying out of people's mouths during the market, but then once the market circles, like everything's, you know, everyone's friends. But it's pretty aggressive when you're out there, and so you either really like it and it kind of drives your personality, I really liked it, or you don't. So I just joined the desk, so I didn't know that much, and a very senior person asked me to do a project for him, so he gave it to me really quickly and said, okay, here, you know, give it to me by the end of the week. And I took it, and I was like, okay, I can figure it out. But I literally had no idea. I looked at the project, I was like, I have no idea what this is. So I asked, I did a lot of work, and I spent the whole week doing it. And then at the end of the week, his name is David Schwartz, I actually just saw him yesterday. He said, this is like crap, like this is horrible, like this, like you just completely waste my time and threw in the garbage. And I thought to myself, I've never in my life had anything like that happen to me. Like at least, you know, some people you don't do so well, you're a little bit off, not like completely. And that's when I went to the bathroom and I cried, for the only time in my career. And I thought to myself, I went back and I thought to myself, you know what? Not once, I walked away from something when I should have asked him very clearly what he wanted me to deliver to him and communicate with him during the process of doing. By the way, all of these things that sound very practical, like, oh yeah, I got that, that sounds like a normal person thing to do. I didn't ask him because I was scared that he would think I was an idiot, so I didn't ask him clarity on what the actual project was. I didn't really understand what I was doing, and so I delivered him something 3 days later, so I wasted his time, I didn't ask him any questions, and I delivered him something that he didn't want. I think for me, it was, oh my gosh, I can't just pretend like I know what they're asking me. Like these are critical things that use money. I have to ask them immediately. If I don't understand the first time, I had to ask them again. And so what I say to my junior people is like, if I tell you something and I talk really fast because I have 3 seconds because I'm always going on to something else, and you don't understand, you have to ask me again. And if you still don't understand, you ask me again to explain a different way. And if you still don't understand, then you should go and ask somebody else. But you should continue to ask until you have full clarity on what your job is. If you walk away and you say you're going to do it, I'm going to assume that you understand And I think, at least for me, I was always worried, it's gonna, oh, they're gonna think I'm stupid, they're gonna think I asked such a dumb question, like this thing's so basic. No, it's not basic, it's stupid if you don't ask, you go to the end of the week and deliver something that's not what that person wants. That was a big lesson, that was a pivotal thing for me. After that I asked, I don't care how annoying or pestering it feels, you ask until you understand, so that you can do a good job for them. And communicating to your senior people is critical, like telling them like, oh, I'm almost done, I have this other question, like letting people know, those are also critical. And like that was, I wrote about from my business school, to get into Cornell was this pivotal moment, this guy just like read me on the trade floor in front of everybody and said not so kind words to me, that I had never really heard, to my face. And then the next second, he was talking to me like nothing happened, and I was like, what? I called my mom that day, and I was like, I think I lost my job, because I told him to F off. So things like this are like, they were big moments for me. I was 24 years old when this happened. And so it was actually one of the reasons why I said, I have to really take charge of my own career and just open my mouth to say things, but that was one of them. And then the second one is when I got promoted to MD. So I got promoted in 2015 to MD. I thought I should have gotten promoted in 2013. Everybody thinks they should get promoted. But I did think I should get promoted. And I thought if I did a good enough job, and I was always this way, I was always pretty friendly and talked to people. But the one thing that partner said to me is, Christina, did you tell them that you wanted to be an MD? I said, what are you talking about? They said, did you say the words that you want to be an MD? I was like, I thought to myself, I've never said the words. They should know. I've been here for 10 years. I've been working and telling myself, what do they think I'm here for? And it didn't occur to me. Her name is Beth, she's still at the firm, and she said, you need to tell them that you want the title and stop and say nothing. Tell them that you want MD because you've earned it. And so I did, and I went in that day, and they told me in 2013, and they told me they were not putting me up, and I was so angry, and I thought to myself, how did I wait this long and not tell them? So we get promotions for MDs like every 2 years, starting in 2013. It used to be every year, now it's every year. And they were not putting me up, so what I did was, I went into my boss and I said, you're not putting me in for MD, so you need to do something else for me. Because there are only two things I'm here for, and to get paid and promoted, in that order. And so if you're not putting in promotion, then you need to make it right. So I think part of it is advocating for myself. That was the big moment for me. By the way, this is only like 8 years ago when I knew MD. And so it really is important to say what you want very clearly to the people that matter. And not assume that people know or are going to give you something because you deserve it. Everybody deserves it. Everybody who works hard and works till 4 in the morning deserves it. Not everyone's going to get it. Why is that? That's just life. It's not fair. And I'm like, that's not fair. So you have to open your mouth and say it. And most people, 90% of people that come into my office do not say that they want it. I'm like, did you ask for money? Did you ask for a promotion? Did you ask them why? Did you ask them when? Those are the kind of questions that you have to do to advocate for yourself. You don't realize you have to do it, but you must. When you're in school and you get an A, you know you're still like, you got an A, they don't think you're an idiot grade. When you're at work, there are no A's. So how are you going to show it you stand out? You're going to bring in a lot of money, you're going to bring in a lot of clients, or you're going to speak up and show people that you have that, because even if you do those two things, they may not see that you've done something. And somebody will surely jump in and try to take credit for your work, because that's what happens. So how do you act in the right way so that you make sure that you're getting credit for the work you're doing, and that you're letting the right people know what you're doing? Like, these are all very practical things, but that was the other pivotal moment to me. It's like, wow, I really have to tell them I want to be an MD. That is important to me.
Got it. So really advocating for yourself and communicating clearly seem like the most important things, really. Cool. So those are all of the questions I had. Maddie, do you want to open it up to the audience for a couple of questions?